3 coins in a fountain, each one seeking seeking happiness.
Welcome to The Internet Says It's True, where every week we learn something that sounds made up but is really true, part of the WCBE podcast experience. My name is Michael Kent. This is episode 201. Thank you so much for hanging with us. Last week we didn't get an episode in. Sadly, my wife's father passed away, my father-in-law, and in honor of Richard, my father-in-law, I thought it would be appropriate to do this particular rewind episode, and I'll share with you a story that I shared at his celebration of life last week. Richard was a giant numismatist. For those of you that don't understand that word, that means coin collector. And it was much more than just coin collecting. Like, he knew everything about all these coins. And this episode is about one particular coin, and he found it interesting. And we were on vacation when this episode came out. And I said, hey, Richard, I'm doing this episode. And he knew all about the coin, by the way. All the stuff that I had researched, he already knew about all this stuff. And we're on vacation, and he said, oh, I'll email that to my coin club guys. And he was in, I think 5 different coin clubs, but some of them, he was just heavily involved in. So normally on any given Monday, this episode might get a few hundred listens, 300 or 400 listens. But when this episode originally came out, I looked at the numbers later in the day, and it was up above 4,000. And I said, oh my God, your coin guys are really spreading this around. This is awesome. Later on that day, I found out that NPR had featured the episode on their homepage, notable podcasts or something. I didn't have the heart to tell Richard that. But, when I first met him, this was 20 years ago, he was collecting this really amazing collection of $3 gold pieces. And when they sold at auction, the book from the auction on the cover said The Fabulous Richard Jewell Collection. And probably for at least a year after that, we referred to him as the Fabulous Richard Jewell, which was just a great memory. So this episode is in honor of Richard Jewell and his love for coins. It's all about the first coin ever minted, the Fugio Cent.
Hey Michael, this is Sean. The very first coin that was minted in the United States had the words, "Mind your business," on it. I thought that would be a good show topic. Thanks.
Thanks, Sean. This is the kind of thing I love for this podcast because it sounds fake. Well, it turns out it isn't. Like Sean said, this is a real thing, and I spent the week researching it. Every American knows who Benjamin Franklin was. A man so important, he's one of only 2 non-presidents to be featured on U.S. paper currency. He was an inventor, a writer, a diplomat, a scientist, a statesman, and most notably, one of the few men responsible for drafting America's Declaration of Independence in 1776. He was the only person to have signed all 4 major founding documents: the Declaration of Independence, the Treaty of Alliance with France, the Treaty of Paris, and the United States Constitution. But there's something that Ben Franklin did that not as many people are familiar with. He was an artist and designer of American money. About a decade after the founding of the new nation, a problem was arising. There were a lot of counterfeit and lightweight copper pennies in circulation. States were minting their own pennies, and because of the inconsistency in weight and because of counterfeiting, businesses were losing money accepting these coins, which would occasionally be accepted as less than face value. This was hurting the economy of the 13 original states. To fight the problem, the Continental Congress of the Confederation decided on a resolution in 1787. It was for the contract to mint a national copper cent. About 10 weeks after the resolution was signed, a design had been approved for the coin. The reverse of the coin, that's a numismatic term for the back of the coin, would have an unbroken chain with 13 links representing the colonies. In the center of that, the words, "We are one." The obverse, or front of the coin, would feature a prominent sundial with a sun shining down on it. On the right, the date 1787, even though all of these coins were actually struck in 1788. And on the left, the word Fugio. This is a Latin word meaning I fly, and is apparently a reference to time flying by and the coin flying across the sky represented by the sun and the sundial. But perhaps the most interesting part of the coin to me are the big letters on the bottom under the sundial. The words, "Mind your business." I'll explain all about that and about how these coins were only made possible due to a notorious counterfeiter after a short break. There's a program I've been doing for a few years where everything I spend, it automatically rounds to the nearest dollar, takes that little amount of change, and throws it into a savings account. It's called Acorns, and it's actually pretty awesome. If you're not the best at taking money out of your accounts for savings, this is a great way to do it a little bit each day without ever thinking about it. It's ridiculously easy to use, and it shows you how much you've saved and how much you'll have. It's kind of amazing how you don't realize how these little amounts add up, and it's all under your control. You can link it to whatever cards you want, and it just happens. If you use my link in the show notes to join, it'll start you off with $10 invested in your account for free, just for doing nothing but signing up. So the link is in the show notes. Check out Acorns. Believe it or not, virtual presentations are not going anywhere. I just booked another one, another virtual show. This time, actually, they want a pre-recorded virtual show, but they want it to feel professional. They told me they want it to feel like a magician doing magic on America's Got Talent. And the only way that I am able to do that is because of the skills that I learned during the pandemic. Not everyone has the time that I had to learn that. So I've partnered with Virtual Presenter Course. This is an online course. It will teach you everything you need to know to make your virtual presentations stand out. Even if you're just attending Zoom meetings and you want to look professional, everything from lighting to sound to snazzy virtual backgrounds and more. If you are not computer savvy and you want to look good, this is how you do it. And I'm going to get you 20% off your order. You go to virtualpresentercourse.com/30. The discount will automatically be applied. The link is also in the show notes. I promise you're going to love Virtual Presenter Course. I have been following Scotty Vest on Facebook. It's a clothing company that I believe in. They're all about transparency and honesty with their customers. I really like the brand and their values. From lightweight shirts to hoodies to jackets, their clothes are packed with pockets, even like smart RFID blocking pockets. They're designed with commuting in mind. Give them a look. It's scottyvest.com, and by listening to this show, you get 15% off your order. Just enter the promo code TELLME, TELLME, all one word. That's scottyvest.com, promo code TELLME. Let's get back to the show. Eric Newman was a numismatist who wrote several books about the Fugio Cent, and in them, he was able to show that the design of this copper coin was the handiwork of Benjamin Franklin. Franklin was known for several of these mottos and designs, like the 13 chain links. It's also very similar to a dollar coin that Franklin had designed in 1776 for the new nation, but was never circulated. But why the words, "mind your business"? It seems weird to have that on a coin. Well, when the coin was designed in 1787, this phrase didn't mean what it means today. Today, when we use the phrase, we obviously mean stop being nosy. But Benjamin Franklin meant mind your business quite literally, as in pay attention to your business. Business literally meaning business. Among all those things I listed about what Ben Franklin was, he was a businessman with a strong work ethic. These coins reflect that ethic. Mind your business. The story of how these first coins were minted is rather interesting as well. The United States Mint wasn't established until 1792. So how did they mint this first national cent? Well, the Congress of the Confederation asked for bids on striking the coins, and several copper makers came forward. They wanted to make these coins. The contract went to a man named James Jarvis in Connecticut. Connecticut had opened the first state mint in 1785, and Jarvis owned a controlling interest in that company. It was called the Company for Coining Coppers. And in true fashion of politics in America, he won the contract by bribing the head of the Treasury Board, William Durer, with $10,000. Durer was the assistant to the treasurer, and he was an old family friend of Jarvis, so he was awarded the contract, and he started the process of constructing the dies to make the coin. To carve and build these dies, he looked to a man who was missing part of his ear and had a small C branded into his forehead. The reason for these disfigurements was this man, Abel Buell, was a known counterfeiter. He had been caught counterfeiting 5-pound notes, and his punishment was lopping off the top of one of his ears and then branding him with a letter describing his crime. This is what they did back then. He set up the dies and began striking the coins, along with the help of an enslaved man named Aaron, several children, a freed black man, and others. It was a group effort to get these coins made, and the problem became apparent quickly. The coinage requested by the contract required 300 tons of copper. There wasn't 300 tons of copper in the United States. He had put his father-in-law, Samuel Broome, in charge of mining additional copper, but it wasn't very successful. After Jarvis's mint produced 1,200 pounds of coins, they ran out. This was a problem not only for the nation, not only for Jarvis, but for the treasury. Jarvis had been given the first chunk of copper and he never paid the federal government back for it. Ultimately, he fled to Europe to look for more copper and to escape his troubles. Eventually, Abel Buell fled to England as well. Now, a neat note about him, he eventually returned and is credited for printing the first U.S. map, but unfortunately, he died penniless. Jarvis's father-in-law, however, Samuel Broome, continued to mint coins at the Connecticut Mint, but he started making them lighter and thinner. In the end, he made about 400,000 Fugio cents. This was 4 tons of copper instead of the 300 tons. The Fugio cents never did see a whole lot of circulation. There was a huge devaluation of copper, and there just weren't enough coins to be in large use anyway. The population of the country at that time was just under 4 million people, so there just weren't enough of these coins to be effective. Today, collectors pay up to $10,000 for a Fugio cent. Only 3,811 have been officially cataloged and graded. In 1926, a secret stash of these coins was found. They had been stored away in 1788. Those several thousand coins represent the largest chunk of the Fugio coins that are now owned, and they are in near mint condition. So who owns them? How do you get one? I think there's a saying about that from one of our founding fathers and from modern numismatists. Mind your business. Now it's time for the part of the podcast where I call a friend, and today I'm calling author and head comedy writer at Shadowbox Live, Jimmy Mak. Jimmy joined us last season for the Star Trek episode about the Vulcan greeting, and he was kind enough to agree to do the podcast again. Jimmy Mak, welcome back to the podcast.
Thank you, Michael. It is always a pleasure to be here with you.
You were on the show when we did an episode about the Vulcan greeting, the Vulcan salute.
That's right. And actually, I coincidentally wore this shirt today.
It says red shirt. It's a Star Trek shirt. It says red shirt. I might not make it, which is more of obviously an original series problem because they all wore red. All of the senior command wore red shirts in the Next Generation,
and they lived.
They lived through every episode. I am on season, I believe, 5 of the Next Generation now.
Oh, wow.
So I've been making it through. I started in the pandemic with the original series, and I make it through whenever I have a minute to watch an episode. So there have been some amazing episodes recently.
Yeah.
Just incredible. I'm really enjoying it. With this podcast this week, won't have anything to do with anything that's in either of our wheelhouses.
Okay.
So, which I thought could be fun. This isn't stuff that anyone would ever know. Now, before we get into that, Shadowbox is opening back up.
That's right. We are open.
You are open.
We are open, yes. Yeah, we are at a limited capacity compared to before the shutdown, but we're slowly expanding, and we've been selling out, and the audiences have been great, and it's been wonderful to be back.
So if you're listening and you're not in the Central Ohio area, Shadowbox Live is sort of like a cabaret theater, sketch comedy, rock and roll. They also do dramatic performance. It's 100%. These sketch comedy rock and roll shows are 100% original sketches, most of them written by Jimmy. But all of the people that are in the show are also in the band and also serving your food and fixing your food and everything. It's quite a place, and it's been in business for how many years now?
So they started, I joined in 96. I think they were around a couple years before that too. So around like 94, 93, something like that.
So, I mean, that's literally like 8 years, 10, 12.
Yeah.
It's a long time. It's a long
What
time.
literally means.
Literally, that's one of Jimmy's pet peeves is when people use the word literally for things that are not literally. So this is literally going to be the hardest quiz you've ever taken.
Oh, I'm looking forward to it.
This first question, if you get this question wrong, you have to change your Facebook profile picture to a television character of my choice.
Oh man. Okay. All right.
So there's high stakes on this, and just for a day, just for one day.
Okay.
And that television character is E.B. Farnham from Deadwood.
Oh, nice. Okay, that's fine.
Not nice. He's horrible.
I know.
He's a horrible.
But he makes me laugh every time.
Every time. This is why I texted you yesterday and I said, "Do you watched Deadwood, right?" And you said, "Not only did I watch Deadwood, but I was there."
Yeah.
You were like in Deadwood a week and a half ago.
Yeah.
So here's your question. Before the U.S. Mint was established, the first coin put into circulation was designed by Benjamin Franklin, and a very small amount were made. It was called the Fugio Cent, and it had a somewhat strange phrase on the coin. Which one of these was that phrase? A, mind your business. B, you're gonna pay. Or C, the king sucks.
I'm going to go with mind your business.
You are correct.
Yes.
You do not have to change your profile picture to Mayor Farnham. You're gonna keep your own profile picture on there. Yeah, it was the words "mind your business." Now, back then in 1787, it did not mean what we use "mind your business" to mean today. It meant more literally like take care of your affairs. Benjamin Franklin was a businessman. He was business minded. He wanted people to be responsible with their money, and so that's what was a thing that he thought should be on the cent.
And he also loved a good fart joke, so God love him.
Is that right? Is there Is there a Benjamin Franklin fart joke, or is just fart humor in general that he was?
Just loved fart humor in general. Yeah, if you read about his sense of humor, he was pretty much in the gutter all the time. Yeah.
Well, work hard, play hard is what I say.
I think you would have loved Shadowbox.
Yeah, probably would have. All right, so you're 1 for 1. Question 2. For this question, we're playing for something fun. If you get it right, I'll tell you the worst bit I ever wrote for my show. If you get it wrong, you'll tell me the worst sketch you've ever written for Shadowbox.
Oh, God, okay.
This one is another multiple choice question. As of 2020, how much does it cost the United States to make a penny? Here are your choices. A, 7/10 of a cent. B, 1.76 cents. Or C, 3.25 cents.
I'm going to go with B.
1.76 cents?
Yeah.
You are correct. You're 2 for 2.
Yes.
Lincoln cents have a composition of 2.5% copper. They're only 2.5% copper. The balance is zinc. And nickels cost 7.62 cents to make. And all the other coins that we make actually make a profit. They're cheaper to produce than they are worth. So, but those two coins, pennies and nickels, are expensive. Apparently, we should not be using them. When was the last time do you use change, like pocket change?
I used change the other day for a meter, actually. So that's probably the first time I've done that in quite a while. Yeah.
I don't even use them in meters anymore because all the meters are now, you just pay on, you get the app and you pay on your phone.
Yeah. And I just had I don't even know what, you throw it in your car, you have the change. And when I put up to the meter, there was already time on it. And I only needed another probably 10 or 15 minutes to add on. So I just grabbed a couple quarters from the car and it worked out perfectly.
I use change occasionally in toll booths. That's about the only time, because I have time to look, especially if it's the kind with the ticket where you get the ticket and then you drive for 3 hours, you have time to look at that ticket and see how much you're going to owe.
Right.
So I have time to dig through the bottom of my console in my car and find the correct change.
But you use change in your act a lot, right?
I don't. Okay. So in my strolling, close-up magic, I wouldn't even call it change because the coins that I'm using aren't heavily circulated coins. I use Morgan dollars. They're real Morgan dollars. They're mostly silver, and they're usually coins that no one has ever seen. So they just probably assume they're magic coins. But I do magic. I can do magic with quarters and half dollars and stuff
Sure.
too. It's just that's not normally what I do. Now, if you gave me some pocket change and said, "Here, do magic," I could. Or I would just throw it in your face and say, "But where did the pennies come from?"
Nice try, Michael. I'm not giving you my change, buddy.
This is my way of begging for for spare change. I'll show you some magic if you give me the pocket change. That's how I do it. All right, I have to tell you a story about my worst bit.
Yes, you do.
So I was big, like heavy into the Golden Girls. This was like 15 years ago. And I did a bit where I had 8x10s of all the Golden Girls, and I was making a prediction of which Golden Girl the guy that I brought on stage had romantic feelings for. And like I said, if you had romantic feelings for one of these Golden Girls, I want you to, choose one that it would be. And then I would make a prediction. And no matter what, he would end up choosing Sophia.
Okay.
But the audience saw that I chose Blanche, which is the obvious choice, right?
Right.
So the audience saw that I chose Blanche, but the person on stage didn't. And I put that up there, I hung the prediction up. And so he would choose Sophia. And so the joke was on me, right? Like that I made the wrong prediction. And then my prediction would end up changing to Sophia. It's an old magic plot called the McComical prediction. It's an old thing. But I adapted it to use 8x10s of the Golden Girls, thinking everyone loves the Golden Girls.
Right, of course.
I was sorely mistaken. So I think I performed that once, maybe twice, and it wasn't like a lot of times if a routine bombs, I'll try it again and change some stuff on it. But that was one of those where it was like the crickets were deafening. So I said, "This is not a good bit."
Wow. So there was no thank you for being a friend with that bit, I guess.
Not literally, but I did play the theme song.
Okay, gotcha.
And I don't even think they knew what that was. They were like, "What is this weird music playing?" I thought that there was a cult following for the Golden Girls that was ubiquitous, and I was wrong.
I think you might be right. I just don't think they go to magic shows.
I mean, maybe that's what it is. Maybe that Venn diagram is two circles. All right. Question 3. For this question, we're playing for a coveted "The Internet Says It's True" sticker. One of these guys. This is a 3x3 matte finish, heavy duty sticker. I mean, you stick this sucker on your water bottle and you can wash it in the sink.
Wow. And I will do that if I win it.
Yeah, I do stickers on water bottles, and then, I'll put the Ohio I voted sticker on there, and they're paper based. And so, you wash them a couple times and then you just got sticker residue. But this sticker, "The Internet Says It's True," man, that is meant for a water bottle.
I want it. I want it.
On the penny, the face of Abraham Lincoln faces right, while the faces on all the other major coins that we use in circulation face left. Which is the real reason for that? A, it depicts Lincoln looking to the future and as an homage to his bringing the country through the Civil War. B, it was just the way the original art was created. Or C, it was Lincoln's request to always be depicted looking right.
I'm going to go with the easy answer of B.
Holy cow, that was a hard one, and you got it right too.
Oh my God! Yes!
I thought I made that answer really hard because all those answers seem totally plausible to me. What made you go toward? So yeah, it was the original art. That's the way it was created. What made you go for that?
I don't know. I felt like the other two were actually really logical, and the middle one wasn't, and that's why I went there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so from what I've read, Abraham Lincoln faces a different direction on the penny because the penny is an adaptation of a plaque by Victor David Brenner. The illustration was placed on the penny as a result of President Theodore Roosevelt's love for Brenner's work. Roosevelt recommended to have the illustration placed on the penny during Lincoln's centennial year of 1909. So, and now there are other coins where the figurehead on the coin looks right, but none of the ones that we use, none of the ones that are in everyone's pocket paying tolls, just the penny.
See, my dad's a giant coin collector, and he would have known all of these without thinking about it. But I didn't know any of this going in. I just want you to know that.
I'm with you. My dad and my father-in-law are both what you would call numismatists,
Yes.
and that's a word that I only know because of them. And and in any case, that's why the penny face is right. So next time you pay a toll, you can tell the toll booth that I don't know why you would have a striking
They're always
conversation.
so eager to talk to me. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that conversation.
I always say I'm always nice to toll booth operators because I feel like no one is nice to those folks, and I always go out of my way to. I know I'm not being like, hey, how's your day? You know, I'm not like, what'd you have for dinner? I'm not like totally striking up an open-ended conversation, but I will thank them and tell them hello.
See, my wife yells at me because I like to talk to our Uber drivers, and she's like, "They don't want to talk to you, sweetheart. Like, just stop, because I'll be like."
I don't know if I agree with Lydia on this one. I think that Uber drivers that comes with the territory. When you're stuck in a car, it's almost awkward if there is no conversation. Now, there can be too much.
That's probably where I come in, yeah.
But usually it's on the case of the driver that's talking too much, not the person in the back. All right. So you're killing it, man. You're 3 for 3.
I'm acing this, man.
Now, for question 4, we're playing for 5 Twitter followers.
Okay.
Now, your Twitter game is pretty strong. If you get it right, I have to get you 5 more Twitter followers. If you get it wrong, you've got to get me 5. Now, do you know how many Twitter followers you have just offhand?
Around, I think it's 10,000.
10,000. That's a lot. I think that's probably that's about double what I have. And so 5 of them, you can just sort of peel off and send them my way if you miss this one. The Fugio coin. This was the first coin put into circulation. This is the one that we were talking about that says "Mind your business." It has the motto "We are one" struck into the middle of the reverse of the coin. After the 1787 Constitution was ratified in 1788, a new official motto was decided on for coins. What was that motto? Now, I have 3 multiple choices, but I think you might be able to get this one without them.
Yeah, e pluribus unum. Is that right?
That would be the one, and you are correct, and you are 4 for 4.
Oh my God.
For bonus points, what does that mean? What's that Latin for?
Out of many, one.
Jeez, Jimmy, you're killing this game. You're killing this game. Are these questions just too easy?
No.
I even had multiple choices. Here were the multiple choices. They were going to be e pluribus unum, in God we trust, or the king sucks. Those were the 3.
If we do this again, I just want to answer the king sucks for all of them.
For all of them.
Yeah.
Man, 4 for 4. And I've got to get you 5 more Twitter followers, which will not be difficult. Question 5. This one is for all the marbles. If you get this wrong, I'm banning you from the show, never to be asked on again.
Okay.
What is the coolest fact that you've learned recently?
It's funny you asked that because I was writing a play recently, and one of the characters I decided would just be full of useless knowledge. Like that was his thing. So that's kind of what I've been doing for the last couple of weeks. I think my favorite fact I found is about Pez candy. Do you know anything about Pez candy?
I don't know much about it, but I'm embarrassed to say I buy it 5 pounds at a time.
Okay, no, they shouldn't be embarrassed. But Pez candy was designed as an alternative for cigarette smoking. They wanted to stop people smoking cigarettes, and so the first design was like a lighter. And so they would flick it like a lighter and the candy would come out. And that's what they wanted you to do instead of smoking cigarettes.
Now, that actually makes a lot of sense. But I'm going to say I don't use the dispensers. I don't like them.
Oh, wow. So you don't like Darth Vader's neck bone? You don't want to eat that?
I don't collect them. I don't want them. I don't need a step between me and Pez candy. There is something about Pez candy. It's probably nostalgia that I absolutely love, and I really do. I have like an old style apothecary candy jar on my desk, with the lid the silver lid that screws off, and I fill it with Pez. Specifically, sometimes I just buy bags of grape Pez. You can buy a 5-pound bag of grape Pez on Amazon. You can buy anything on Amazon because that guy, listen, we need to send him to space. And so if you're going to buy Pez, By Bezo Pez.
I honestly don't think I've met anyone that eats Pez without the dispenser, because I think for most people the dispenser is what makes the fun of it. Like, and you just like the taste of the
I don't need it to be fun. And it used to be, I can tell you, I've been doing this so long that there used to be a system where you would hold the sleeve of the paper sleeve of the Pez and then use your little finger to push the silver, the foil wrapped Pez part out and then unwrap it. And it was nice because then you could close it back up, much like an expensive candy bar, put it back in the paper sleeve. But now it's all one, right? The color and the silver is all together. And so now my method is a little different. Now I break it in the middle and then use one half to tear down the other half. And then I eat from the middle out. There's a whole system.
I'm so glad that my random fact was about Pez so that we could have this conversation.
I'm so glad that I'm able to sort of confess this to someone. I can listen. I hate that I keep saying listen, but that's the word that I use when I get real authoritative about a subject. Listen, Jimmy.
Yes.
If you want to talk Pez, we can talk about Pez. This is ridiculous.
Listen, son.
This has gotten so dumb. Jimmy Mak, thank you so much for coming on. Everyone, go follow Jimmy Mak on Twitter. It's JIMMYMAK1, the number 1 after Mac. Jimmy Mak. Also buy his book. It's called Daddies Shouldn't Breakdance. It's a really funny autobiography. You should read it. He's been blocked by Scott Baio. When you've been blocked by Scott Baio, you know that you're on top of things.
Michael, it was a pleasure, and I had a blast, as I always do when we hang out.
Well, that is all for this week. Thanks to Sean for the show topic and Jimmy Mak for being my guest. The next 3 weeks are going to be rebroadcasts of 3 of my favorite shows that we've done here, and then I will be back with a brand new show for season 3 after that. The following recording is actually a recording of Ben Franklin as a child.
Thank you for listening to The Internet Says It's True. Don't forget to join up on Patreon if you want to see the unedited video of the guest appearance or to hear bonus episodes. You can do that at patreon.com/Michael Kent. Also, if you learned something that you didn't already know from the show, please visit iTunes and leave us a review with 5 stars and a few words. That's the rule. You gotta do it. That helps us a ton because that's how the algorithm works, to get the podcast suggested to more people. And that way we can keep learning something new, if the internet says it's true.
The Internet Says It's True would like to thank the Patreon subscribers whose monthly contributions help make this show possible. Sean Brown, Catherine Morgan, Taylor Hurt, Tony Ford, Bryce Swanson, Eugene Anderson, Matt McVeigh, Jim Martin, Joanne Martin, Josh Van Allen, and the show's official Emperor Kick Track. The show is written and produced by me, Michael Kent. The theme song is by Finite Music Forge, and additional music this week was from Cooper Cannell. All audio clips in this episode are used for education and commentary and used under Fair Use Title 17 U.S.C. Section 107. You can listen to past episodes by searching for The Internet Says It's True wherever you get your podcasts, and you can see bonus content at patreon.com/Michael Kent.